How much simple interest is due on a loan of $120 for 2 years if the annual rate of interest is 5.5%? All right, so this question is a straightforward application of the formula we know so well for your simple interest. Simple interest is equal to principal by rate by time. And yet again, we have another question that could possibly appear in the same or similar form in your paper 2. All right, so if we want to find the simple interest, we have the principal, which is 120, by the rate by the time over 100. Now let us talk about the rate, because they give the rate as 5.5, good, which most people in paper 2, if this were in paper 2, then you just put 5.5, or some of the calculators will give you the fraction 5.5. You just substitute it exactly as they give it into the formula, and boom, you get the answer. Good. But remember, in the multiple choice, your calculator is not an option. So you have to bring your mathematical skills to bear on this situation. You don't have any choice. So in this case, you have two alternatives. You could either express, well, in both alternatives, you will be relying on the fact that 5.5, and I'm going to put it here in red, 5.5 as a mixed number is equal to 11 over 2 as an improper fraction. All right, so you express this and you substitute the 11 over 2 where the rate is 5.5%. Now you could do this. You could take this by itself and multiply and cancel the 2. So you get 11 over 2 by 2 over 1. The 2's will cancel to leave you with 11 alone in here. Or there's another option which you could employ as well, where you take the 11 from the numerator and keep it on top here, and you take the 2 in the denominator and you bring it below here, so that after you start out with this, what you end up with now would be 120 by 11 by 2, right? This is the principal, this 2 here is the time, this 11 is the numerator from the 11 here, and then you take the 2 and you put it below in the denominator and you multiply by the 100 from the original formula. In that way, you get the same result, because this 2 will cancel out with that 2 to give you 120 by 11 over 100. All right, let me just make this a little more emphatically, right? This 2 will cancel with this 2. Good. So in both cases, you would have 120 by 11 over 100. You have here 120 by 11 over 100. So you end up here with 120 by 11 over 100. Now again, remember, your calculator wouldn't be available. So your 120 by 11, you multiply this. 12 by 11 is 132 with a 0 on top. And you divide that by 100. Zeros will cancel. 132 divided by 10 is 13.2. Good. So 13.2, which means therefore that the answer is and could only be answer B, $13.20. Now let me just talk a little bit more about these simple interest questions. Good, because there are times when they will give the time in months and not years. This is something I always drive home to my students. Good, so sometimes they might give the time as 6 months or 18 months. In both cases, you have to translate the time to years before you could carry on with the formula. So if we had this same question, for example, and they said that the time was 6 months, then you would have to change these months to years, so that the time would be 0.5 or 1 over 2. If they had said 18 months, you'd have to do the same thing and change the time from 18 months to express it into years, which will be 1.5 years or 3 over 2 as a improper fraction, etc., etc., etc. So keep your eyes open for that. Sometimes they twist the question a little bit by simply expressing the time in months instead of years. In that case, if it happens, then you change the months to years and you proceed as normal. Of course, in the multiple choice, you wouldn't have the calculator available to deal with this or similar types of numerals. So in that case, you will be forced, more or less, to bring your arithmetic skills into play in terms of the manipulation of mixed numbers and fractions, etc., etc. Cool? So that's it. You know what the deal is? Do it. So answer B.